Major airlines today have a vast range of aircraft to cater for different routes and passenger demand. So if you're flying here in Europe, what can you expect? Well, if you're flying with KLM, more often than not that'll be the Boeing 737, which is exactly what I'm going to be taking today as I fly from Birmingham to Amsterdam. Join me on board the aircraft as I show you what to expect if you're travelling with the Netherlands national carrier. Welcome to Edgington Airborne. Let's get going.
Most of my flights on this channel are hand luggage only, but this was the first flight of my trip to the Middle East, and with 3 nights away I decided I'd need a case. Dropping it off was a breeze at the very quiet check-in desks accessed through door A at Birmingham, and in no time at all I had my boarding pass in hand and was on my way upstairs to departures. Much like the check-in area, departures was relatively quiet on the day of my flight, which I guess isn't too surprising for an early February morning. Believe me though when I say Birmingham Airport can get very crowded in the peak summer months as leisure passengers are jetting off on their holidays. But whether you're using Birmingham for business, vacation, or like me, just the joy of flying, then there are plenty of shops and restaurants to visit if you have the time. Personally though, I prefer to save my money and enjoy the views outside.
So that's a quick trip through Birmingham Airport, and if you've not travelled through here before, it's certainly not a bad place to spend a couple of hours before your flight. And speaking of flights, it's time to get on board the 737 and head to Amsterdam.
As I mentioned during my intro, the Boeing 737 is used by KLM for their European flights, and at time of filming, KLM have over 50 in a fleet which also includes long-haul aircraft, such as the Airbus A330 and Boeing 777, a plane which I experienced straight after this flight, and you can see the review of that very soon. Like many airlines, KLM name their aircraft, and in the case of the Boeing 737, each plane is named after a bird, which for my flight is grouse. And no, I am not confident enough to try and say it in Dutch. So, what does it cost to fly with KLM? Well, flying between the UK and Amsterdam isn't as expensive as you may think, and the airline provides a helpful fare calendar which offered flights starting from £70 depending on time and date of travel. This fare is based on hand luggage only, but you can choose a slightly more expensive ticket type if, like me, you have a suitcase with you. KLM have a small number of Boeing 737 aircraft fitted with a new interior design, and I've experienced this before, but most of their fleet's equipped with the older cabin that I had on this flight, so what's it like? Well, on the Boeing 737-800 there are seats for up to 186 passengers in a standard 3-3 layout. Each passenger has access to the usual reading lights and personal air vents, and the overhead lockers, while not as big as on some newer types, are adequate for most cabin bags. This particular aircraft isn't fitted with LED mood lighting, but does have a subtly branded wall behind which are the toilets for economy class passengers. As it was such a quick journey, I didn't visit them this time, but I'm sure they were lovely. One thing that I really enjoy about flying with KLM is the complimentary drink and snack service provided on all flights. On this trip, passengers were offered a slice of almond cake and a cup of water, as well as your choice of a second drink from the trolley. I have to say that I really do like the attention to detail that KLM put into their packaging, especially the cups which feature little bicycles. For me, it's the small touches that really can make an airline stand out from the crowd.
Making good progress towards Amsterdam, so before we get too far into the flight, let's take a look at the seat on board the 737.
Like many airlines in Europe, passengers on the lowest fare class can choose to pre-select a seat but will pay for the privilege, and KLM offer both extra legroom exit row seats and economy comfort seats at the front of the aircraft for a little more space. I opted though for a standard seat on the last row of the aircraft, so let's see what it's like. As with the rest of the cabin on this aircraft, the seat is an older design than on many airlines today and doesn't feature the increasingly common literature storage at the top. It does of course though have a tray table to place that complimentary snack and drink, and 2 spaces are provided to keep your drink in place, perhaps for left or right-handed passengers. The table also offers some adjustment to bring things a little nearer for smaller passengers. Storage can be found in the seat back pocket, and there's space in here not only for the safety card and in-flight magazine, but for my trusty notebook too. Now, when I've flown with KLM before, I've always been pretty impressed by the legroom, but as you can see, this simply wasn't good at all for somebody 6 foot tall. Maybe it's because I'm on the last row. Let me know your thoughts on the seat in the comments if you've flown with KLM. As we just saw, there's no seatback entertainment provided on the KLM 737, but the in-flight magazine Holland Herald is a decent read and certainly kept me entertained with an article on the Dutch national team's impact on football, or soccer for my American viewers. There was also information on KLM's fleet to satisfy my nerdy side, and the magazine provides information on connecting to the Wi-Fi, which sadly was not actually available on my flight. This meant I couldn't update my wonderful followers with images from the trip until I landed. I share channel news and updates from all of my journeys as they happen via Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And if you're not already following me, you've missed out on updates from flights with Emirates, Cathay Pacific and Qatar Airways to name a few. So make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube for the full reviews, and of course follow me on my other accounts.
That's it, another flight drawing to a close. Stick around to the end of the video for my final thoughts, but for now, enjoy the landing. So welcome to Amsterdam after that flight with KLM. If you're new here, this is the part of the video that I share with you my final thoughts on today's trip. Starting off at Birmingham Airport, as I said earlier in the video, it is my local airport. I'm very familiar with it, but it's not a bad place to travel through. There's certainly a good selection of shops and restaurants, and there are plans to improve it and upgrade it in the future, so keep an eye on that. And then we come to the flight itself. Now, I'm a big fan of KLM. I've had some great flights with them in the past, and to be honest, this wasn't a bad one. The cabin crew, first of all, as always when I fly with KLM, I found the crew to be really friendly and very hard working. This is a really short flight, but they still managed to pass through the entire cabin, making sure every passenger was offered a drink and snack. And speaking of the drink and snack, it is of course lovely to receive a free drink and snack on a flight of this length, and the cake was pretty good too. A special mention has to go to the pilots on today's flight. We had a bit of a delay in Birmingham, but the way they explained it to us was phenomenal. They went into great detail explaining about some weather issues they had here in Amsterdam, which meant that we were given a slot delay. They also made sure that passengers were made aware of any tight connections, so great job by all the crew on KLM. There is a negative to today's flight though. I've flown with KLM a few times before on these 737s, particularly on some of the newer jets, and found them really comfortable. But as I'm sure you can guess, that wasn't my opinion on the seat on this particular aircraft. Maybe it's just down to row 32, it's the last row of the plane, do let me know, but it was incredibly tight. It simply, to go any further in that seat would have been really painful for me, so that was pretty disappointing, but it certainly won't put me off flying with KLM again in the future. And if you'd like to see more flight reviews, please do make sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below. I do read them all. Hit that thumbs up button, give it a like, and of course please subscribe so that you never miss a future video. Most of all, as always, take care.